Alrighty, welcome back. We're about to add some more definition into our pathing project. We're going to improve on our shadow, improve on our what makes it really look a little bit rounded here. Um, Even if you are going to define the model to have rounded edges, unless you're looking for extremely high definition, unless you're looking for overrealism, this can really add some definition in itself for a top-down view or a angled top-down view. Warcraft, Heroes of Might and Magic, 3, 4, 5, whichever one. XCOM, StarCraft, anything where you're looking down, you're doing the RTS, TBS thing, or even if you're trying to do a Baldur's Gate kind of thing, this can add some definition to the project and save on RAM by not making you define so much. So if you're doing SimCity, you're doing streets from a top-down view, you can still create a more defined model, but maybe not worry so much about getting massively defined. And of course, if you're doing a straight top-down, I don't think that would sell very well, but some people like it, I guess. You do have definition there. So, duplicate our material. Go to the shaders folder, duplicate our shader. Open it up. Change its name to BlendMask3. Go back to the project. Go back to our new material, our BlendMask2 or 3, and change its shader to BlendMask3. Drag it over onto our quad, and looks exactly the same right now. Go back to Visual Studio. We're going to not worry about animations in the texture direction, so get rid of both of those. Get rid of animated bump map UVs. Just go ahead and get rid of all this for right now. Change our fixed for C to fixed EB equal to fixed for 1111. Put that same value for AC. Get rid of the animated normals. Bring that in later if you want to. And just go ahead and change all of our normals to, actually, I believe we can get rid of, just comment these out for now because we're not going to animate them anymore. Jump back to, and it's ugly. Okay, I've already got Curta up over here. Project is 256 by 256. I have my background unlocked. I'm going to, well, let's not fill that quite yet. Added layer to Curta. Select this rectangular selection tool. Go to Options. Tools Options. If you do not see Tools Options, go to Settings, Dockers, Tools Options. Enter 128 for height and width, and turn on both of the locks next to the height and the width, and just click somewhere. Now you will see another rectangle in Curta. If you use another product like Photoshop or Paint.net or whatever, you should have the same options. But go right here, click Transform a Layer or Selection Tool. A rectangle turns into that. Click on the center, or go to Tools Options, click on the center, and click and enter 128 by 128. That makes everything in the exact center. Actually, for my first color, it's going to be black because these are just going to be selectors. It seems like double work, but it makes things a little bit easier, so I don't have to constantly go back and select and select and select. dye that layer black, or that selection black, add another layer, hit Control-Shift-A to deselect all, select the rectangular selection tool again. I have a new layer here. Under Tools Options, I'm going to make this second layer, let's give it a 4-inch or 4-pixel border, so 124 by 124. Make sure that new layer is selected. Click somewhere. Click on the Transform button again and set it to 128 by 128 so it's in the center. Go to specific color and give it a gray color. I'm going to go 64, 64, 64. And then fill our new layer with that color. Okay. Add another layer. Go back to our rectangular selection tool and go to Tools Options again, 120 by 120. Control-Shift-A to deselect all. Put it down there somewhere. Click on the Transform tool. Go to put it center at 128 by 128 again. Go to specific color. This time the color is going to be 128 by 128 by 128. Just give it a color that you're not going to use. And then fill that new layer. One more layer. Rectangular selection tool. 116 by 116. No, I don't want any rounding. 116 by 116. Control-Shift-A to deselect. Put it down there somewhere on our new layer. Transform tool, center, 128 by 128. Specific color, 192 by 192 by 192. Fill. Okay, we have our selection layers done. Make our life a little bit easier. Go to the very first selection layer that was black. Click the continuous selection tool, the magic wand, and select. That'll select everything outside of that black area. Go to the background, unlock the background, go to Fill, set your color to pure red, no blue or green, and fill it with red. There we go. Control-Shift-A to deselect all. I'm going to go ahead and save. I've saved mine as BlendMask3 under my textures folder. And I'm saving a CRTA copy of the file also, so everything will work out. We can come back and edit this. Okay, so now magic wand again. Go to our last layer, select it right there. Add a new layer. We're going to go to Fill, and we're going to make this all green, and we're going to fill that. Okay. New layer. Actually, I should drag this layer below the green layer. Deselect all. Well, didn't really need to deselect all quite yet. I'm going to, now I may get this wrong the first time. I'm only going to select the outer black. I'm going to hide my green for the moment. Then I'm going to select the smallest gray. And then I'm going to go to the select menu and invert selection so I'm inside. I'm going to go to Fill, and I'm going to fill that with pure blue. And it's giving me a little bit of trouble, but that's okay. I'm going to hide my two selection grids and just have my red, my green, and my blue. Oh no, I did that on my selection layer. My bad. Control Z for me. Go to our new layer and fill that one. Now I'm going to hide my two selection grids. I want to show my colors. And I'm going to save again. I'm going to go back to Unity. Expand my B mask. Go to my textures. Make sure I grab my PNG. I'm going to replace my water with another dirt, but I'm going to tile it 4x4. So it'll be a dirt center with a dirt edge around it. It could be stone, a pathway, a street, whatever, a walkway. But in our case right now, we're just going to use dirt. So go back to Curta. Most of the work we're going to do is in Curta, or is in your paint editor. Deselect all. Select the magic wand again. Let's turn off all of our colors, and now select our two first selectors. Our dark, or our black, our black, make sure you have the black layer selected. Then select the gray layer and select it. Now turn both of those off. We want our blue selected right now. And we want to go to select invert selection. We're going to go to erasers. Grab one of the erasers. Hit B for brush. And set the opacity. We want to erase a lot, so just 75 on this outer edge. And just erase all the way around that selection. We're doing a transparency gradient. Okay. Now, Control-Shift-A, get rid of it, hide the blue. Show the second two selectors. Go back to the magic wand. Click well, make sure you have the first selection layer selected. Select the outside of it. Select the second selection layer. So we've, or actually the third selection layer. So we're not using the black, we're using the next two selection layers. And click inside. This one we're going to leave alone, but I still do that just to be a completionist. Control-Shift-A, get rid of it. Hide the second selection layer and show the third and the fourth. With the third selection layer selected, select the outside of it. With the fourth selection layer selected, select the inside of it. Go to select invert selection, hide our selection layers and show our blue. Go back to brush. It should be eraser. Still set at 75. Control save. Back to Unity. And that is just wild. So, what's going on here? Well, that's not the way we want it, of course. We have a little bit of shader work to do, not much. We need to tell our, we need to tell our shader where to shade. So we're about to bring in another bitmap. I thought I got rid of color A. But I did not. Okay, now I got rid of it. Our shader is just shading everything, and it's doing exactly what we're telling it to. But we need to bring in a new mask, a secondary mask. So we're going to bring in, copy our texture B, paste it and call it texture A. Sampler 2D texture B becomes Sampler 2D texture A. Same thing for the UVs. And now we're going to select totally based on our new texture A. But we have nothing in texture A as of yet. Go back to Curta. Hide all of our colors. Show all of our selectors. deselect all, magic wand on our first selector, the black one, select it and click the outside. On our last selector, select it, click the inside, and then we're going to say select invert selection. We're going to add a new layer. We will make this color totally black. We'll go to the fill button, hide all our selectors so we can see this, and select a paint tool other than the erasers. Now do not hit Control S. You need to do a save as, and we're going to call this BMask selector. Say yes and yes. Now go back to Curta, or go back to our folder and reopen our BlendMask3 KRA. Once it is reopened, but that's wrong. Hold on 1 second here. Curta done hid my file. Okay, Curta's naming thing will drive you nuts, although it's a free program. Go to BlendMask3 PNG Curta, and there's our original file before we saved it. Go back and show all the colors on it again, and save it again as a PNG. It will try to put an extra PNG in the name. Kind of nuts. Save. Yes, you want to overwrite. Yes, you want to write your Curta file. Okay, go back to Unity. Now all my colors are working again. Why is that? Should not be working, but you are. Okay, fine then. Oh, because I got rid of the alpha, I did change that. Grab BMask selector and plop it right there. On BMask selector, select the texture BMask3 selector. Alpha is transparent. Apply. That way we can see it. Now we're going back to the BMask3, and we need to add another property. Last property. This is going to be a range field that gives us an intensity. And I gave it a nice long name to really annoy myself. Range from 0 to 1. Default value is 1. Underneath our input or somewhere, go ahead and just type float highlight intensity. All right, so we are going to, we have all of our MAs up here. First of all, we're going to reverse our MA1 and MA0. Now we're going to change our AC. We're going to go to let's see here. Oh, I'm on blue. Okay. We're going to get rid of the AC and just go with red once again times our mask.a times our new value times our MA0. So just get rid of that part and add that in. Get rid of the AC. So it's MA1 mask A highlight times 0. Next part's the same, next part's the same. You are not acting correctly. How did red get under there? Ah, white got under there somehow. No. Yeah, I didn't. Okay, my mistake. Okay. Deselect all in Curta. Select the first paint layer. With the magic wand, select the first paint layer. Hide it. Go back to our background. Select an eraser of some sort. Go to brush. And just erase all that white. Turn our colors back on. Okay. Now that looks better. Not what we want though. It's not quite there yet. We need to do something with our AC, which sounds kind of comical. So scroll around until you find where it says MA is equal to mask A. Change that to AC. And that will give us our selection. And there's our bevel. So, looks good from here. Admittedly though, once you do this, you want normal maps, or you want normal around it. That will be part of what we're going to do next. We're going to bring in paths. We're going to tile our textures. So these will be 4x4, but it will be but instead we're going to select where we're going in our mask to get that area. And then in our selector, both. We're going to look a lot more like this. Stop that. Look what you've done, Microsoft. Okay, so we're going to look a lot more like this. So the objective, of course, is that each of these are tile. Instead of atlasing our main images, we can leave those high definition. And we can atlas our mask. It saves a lot of memory because our mask can be very small. Now, I do want to bring up that whenever you start doing rounded edges on this stuff, it starts to look really crappy. When you try to you've got to go through and manually alias the transparency, because there really isn't a tool that does transparencies. But I think there's some trick you can do with it in Photoshop, but it's not a normal request, and I accept that. I don't use Photoshop anymore either. But what we have done is create a selector. And I kind of wish I would have made this bigger and done more levels, more layers. I think I'm going to do that while we're in between this and the next one. But what we want to get to, of course, is this. And of course, you can build about 1,000 tools inside of Unity to do a lot of this for you, automate a lot of these processes. But we are basically making a gradient with transparencies with the alpha. So we could just playing around with it for a few seconds here. We can select our blue color. So this is 75, isn't it? Let's make this 50. And I'm going to select the little line tool right here. I want to make whatever paintbrush I'm using 1 pixel in size. If you accidentally hit the tab button in Curta, you'll go to the full screen mode. Just wait a second and hit it again. If you do it too fast, it may not immediately jump out. So I'm going to get kind of close. And that's the wrong tool. Okay, so I don't want to use that one. Go to, oh, I'm using an eraser. Go to the pixel brush. Right click up there. Yeah, that's what I want. Just add another. Line all the way around in a darker color, or a more opacity. All right, come on. Save that. I go to 2D view a lot when I'm working on this. And we can see a little bit more gradual slope on this one. The white just means that something is saturating this. Excuse me. A lot. Go to our red. Go back to our eraser. Go to 87.5 opacity and just add a line out there. No. Come on. That's worked before. Alright, if you're gonna be mean. Ain't very. I'm just going to do this then. Huh? And there you see total saturation, no opacity. So you're seeing a little bit of bleeding here, just like whenever we have, just like we will with the shader normally bleeding into another edge. Let's do that one more time. This time let's add some blue to it. There we go. We see a lot of whiteness there. So if we go back to our selector, deselect all, go to our tool options with the magic wand, grow high by 1. Wrong way. There we go, like that. Select the black line, go to fill, specific color black, and just add that to it. Made it look better, but one more time. Didn't really do anything that time. Well, anyway, we can always take our selection in a little bit. So instead of growing, we will shrink. Invert our selection, delete, and save. that made it, now you see that it's doing a much smaller area. I'm going to undo that and save it back. So it's saturating on the green to the green. If we actually did, that should have took care of it. And I'm looking at my red color. My green color. I mean, the line's still here on this, but it's much smaller. Well, I guess it just shows up on that dirt. Okay, so it has been happening. I just didn't notice it. I'm going to work on that because this should blend with this. Instead, it's fully saturating because of the bleeding on the UVs. Which is, of course, something we really don't want. One thing, hold on. Blue and green isn't so much. So I'm going to go to total red, total blue. I have the opacity. I'm full, and therefore I'm going to try to, and there he goes. So I added red to my opacity. I'm going to have to pull this in more is what we're going to have to do. My green, or my blue is actually needs to move in a little bit. So I think if I just do this, fill, and that made it look a lot better. So we need to merge our colors a lot more through here. I guess it was just an oversight in my head. With me trying to get everything ready. Okay. That will finish our shadow, but we are going to go to the paths next. And the paths are really where you start getting into the level editing. We can create path streets. We can make these crooked and sand paths or dirt paths, and we can make them react to all the sides. We're just going to look at the static 4 paths though right now, or next. So I hope you got something out of this course. If there's anything I'm missing, just put it in the comments. I'll see you in the next tutorial on the pads. God bless.